our Adventist sing number 117. Adventist sing number 117, New Echoes. Let's be honest. Special song by Publishing and Promises.
Prepare for us a place. directions be clear to us as we carry out the day's activities to your glory. We pray, Lord, for your blessing that all that we do may help move your work forward, and may we be soon much more closer to the coming of our Lord Jesus.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to our prayers. We bless you more in the name of the Lord Jesus.
Amen. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih pada saudara-saudara.
Orang tahu.
But you know, the longer they introduce you, it means you are older also. It means you are near retirement if the introduction is very long. Well, we are very happy to be here in Indonesia. This is my second time in Jakarta, but third time in Indonesia. The last time we went to Bali. And I am very happy to be back. It seems like visiting long-lost relatives, especially for me. I will tell you later. I thank Pastor Wendell for postponing our participation in your devotional today, because yesterday would have been very hectic. And I understand Pastor Marulov is not here, but Pastor where is he? Oh, there. Sorry. Oh. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for allowing us to participate in your worship.
Yes.
And also the WIUM Treasurer, Pastor Panahatan Duluk Seribu. Okay, his name means 1,000 mountains. Hello. Okay. And also we are happy. We thank Pastor Hasibwan and Pastor Roy, Pastor Harold for bringing us around. We brought us to Bandung yesterday, and we enjoyed. I also enjoyed going back to Unai because last 2000 we were there, and we stayed there for about 1 week. I said a while ago that it's like coming back to visit long-lost relatives. Especially in the Philippines, we have so many dialects, something like 87 dialects. And one of the major ones is the Ilocano in the north. And I realized that we have more similar words in Indonesian, Ilocano and Indonesian, than we have with any other dialect in the Philippines. You compare Ilocano to the Visayans, to the Bicolanos, Tagalog, we have more similar words with Indonesia. Like you say, baru. Baru means new, same with us. You say tulang. Tulang is bones also with us. That's not with any other Philippine dialect, they don't use that. They don't have that. You say ada. It means there is. We say adda. There is. And you say tali. Tali, rope in our dialect. Tali. And then you say kurang. Kurang. That's lacking. And when you say kurang, it's insane. The same. It's the same. In us. When you say kurang, it's something like this. Ilocano. That's why I say Indonesian is closer to Ilocano than any other dialect in the Philippines.
Yes.
And that we have already only stayed for 2 days, and we discovered already so many similarities. But we have differences also. In the Philippines, galunggong is like this long. But here galunggong is very big.
Mountain.
It's a mountain. also, in the Philippines, sandok is big. But here, even the small spoon is sandok also. Well, that's what makes us happy, because even if we have differences, we have similarities and we have differences, and yet we are one in praising the Lord. And I am very happy. We do not understand perfectly each other and when we talk, but when we sing, we are one. Even if you are singing your own, we sing our own, we have one music, all praising the Lord.
Amen.
And also, Indonesia has other similarities with the Philippines. I understand President Widodo was mayor of Jakarta before he became president. And we also have a mayor who is now the president. And we also have problems with drugs, as you do. And so, our president now is under heavy criticism for his heavy-handed approach to the drug problem. Everybody who is getting killed is being blamed on the government. But the truth is, the criminals are killing each other and blame it on the police. Because they want to cover the drugs. They don't want to be discovered, so they kill the fellow criminals. So that nobody will tell who their partners are. Well, but that's not our problem. Whatever President Duterte will do, if ever he will be able to solve the drug problem in 6 years, that is no assurance that the Philippines will be safe from drugs in the next administration. The problem will always be there. It's like weeds. It's like weeds. If you just leave it alone, it will grow naturally. That's what sin is. And for as long as we are here in this world, that is the nature of human beings. We are inclined to sin. And when will the solution of sin be? It will only happen when our Lord Jesus shall come and cleanse this earth. And we are all looking forward to that time when Jesus shall appear in the clouds of heaven and fetch us to bring us to that heavenly city. And that's what we are looking for. That's what our name advertises. Advent. Adventist means we are waiting for the coming of Jesus. And why are we waiting for that? Because we want to see the transformation, the change, the real change that will happen in this world. And before that change will happen, before that event will come, there is one thing that has to be done. And what is that? Jesus said, Matthew 24 verse 14, and this gospel of the kingdom will be proclaimed throughout the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. Let's pray. Oh God, our Heavenly Father, we are thankful that we have this assurance that despite the sinful world that we are living in, despite all the troubles, the pain, the sorrows, time will come when all this shall end, because our Lord Jesus shall come and fetch us and bring us to a place where all these troubles will no longer be heard. Thank you for bringing us into this truth. May you help us, Lord, that we may not keep it to ourselves, but to gladly, enthusiastically share this with others. Thank you for listening to our prayers, for we ask them all in the name of the Lord Jesus. Amen. This is a very big challenge for all of us. In the Philippines, despite it a Christian country, there are still many places where there are no Adventist presence. They are Christians, but there are no Seventh-day Adventists. And if in a Christian country the challenge is great, how much more will it be in Indonesia, where perhaps 80 to 90% are Muslims? And it's not that easy to approach them, is it? And so, how are we to go about fulfilling this commission, the command of our Lord Jesus? Well, we are so happy because fundamental belief number 17, I forgot to change it, but this is already 18. We have the spirit of prophecy for our guidance. We believe that God gave guidance for this church so that we will not only be corrected, we also will be guided. We will be given instruction. How are we to go about? And what does the spirit of prophecy say regarding our responsibilities, our job as workers, pastors, and other denominational workers? Here is an advice. To exalt a minister as perfection because he has not displeased anyone by removing errors, not only brings a snare upon the minister, but brings disaster upon the people. Well, let us make sure that the work of the pastor is not just to correct errors, but to guide. But there are times when it seems like we do not want to bother the brethren because we might hurt them. Of course, we should not be hurting them. But when errors are to be called for, we must be ready with all kindness to remind our brethren that errors are to be corrected. And what are these? One of these, especially in relation to the text that we have just read about the Gospel Commission being spread all the world. And mind you, it did not say there that the whole world is to be converted. What did it say? Just for a testimony. Just let them know. And it's up to them to decide. It's up for them to accept the Holy Spirit to guide them. But our duty is to let them know. And what is this one error? What is one error that the church is committing and that the pastors, the ministers, should be bold enough to correct? Another passage says, a serious and perhaps unsuspected hindrance to the success of the truth is to be found in our churches. Right inside our churches, that is where the problem is. Unsuspected, serious, and perhaps unsuspected hindrance to the success of the Gospel Commission. And what is that? When an effort is made to present our faith to unbelievers, the members of the church too often stand back and let all the burden rest upon the minister. I wonder if this is happening here, but it's happening in some places in the Philippines, where the brethren will say, well, we are paying the pastors, let them do the work. They are receiving salary from the tithe, let them do the work. But it's a serious and unsuspected hindrance to the success of the truth. When members stand back, what does it mean? What does stand back mean? They don't participate. When they won't participate in spreading the gospel. Why? Because of so many reasons. One, they do not know how. One another thing is some of them are embarrassed. They don't have the courage. And so many other reasons. That's one error that's happening in the church. And they let all the burden rest upon the minister or upon those denominational workers. The minister should not do all the work himself, but he should unite with him those who have taken hold of the truth. This means that our work is not just to proclaim, but also to invite the other believers to join us. A working church will ever be a growing church. If you want the church to grow, if we want the church not to be focused on what the other member is doing or just criticizing each other, when they are busy inviting other people to the church, troubles in the church will diminish. Let him who keep the church alive, let him seek to keep the church alive by teaching its members how to labor with him for the conversion of sinners. And what does the Spirit of Prophecy say regarding this technique? It is good generalship. when we are able to engage the church members, the brethren, to participate in the work. Because the work is so big, it's so wide, it will kill us if we do it alone. But if all the members are participating, then the work will go faster, and it is also commendable because it says that this is good generalship. That's why the slogan for our denomination for this quinquennium, as approved at the San Antonio General Conference session, is arise, shine. Why? Jesus is coming. And how are we to arise and shine? Reach the world through the pastors? No. Total member involvement. Total member involvement. And since not everybody can do Bible study, not everybody is adequate in sharing the Bible truth personally. Not everybody can speak on the radio. Not all of us has the beautiful or handsome face to be shown on TV. Not all of us are scholars. But everyone can participate in what activity? In spreading the gospel through the spirit of prophecy literature. Again, Christ Object Lesson, page 228 says, though men have the Bible in their hands, they do not receive the blessing that God has placed in it for them. Why? Or how? The Lord calls upon His servants to carry His message to the people. Blessings will flow in greater currents to the church and to God's people when they share the truth to other people. You will experience it yourself. When you are actively participating in sharing the truth, you yourself will be strengthened. Your faith will become more powerful, and your joy will be different. If you haven't yet seen a person being submerged in water because you allowed yourself to be God's instrument, then I don't know. If you haven't yet seen a person being submerged in water through your labors, then you haven't yet still felt the highest joy there is. You know, there is something that there is a special happiness that comes to you when you see some people getting baptized. So how are we to go about? Total membership through spirit of prophecy literature. The press is a power. I have been shown, Ellen White said, that the press is powerful for good or evil. This agency can reach and influence the public mind as no other means can. The press
Amen.
is powerful for good or for evil. So it depends on who is utilizing the press. And we can see that the world is very active in this. Satan has his own publishing press, publishing houses. And they are greater, they are more modern. They produce print much faster than we do. Because Satan also knows the power of the press. And it continues. It can influence, it can reach and influence the public mind as no other means can. No other means. Why? Because this agency can be brought to the very secret rooms of the house. No matter how close you are as a pastor to a church member, most often you are not allowed into the bedrooms. But I understand that Muslims, when you are their very close friend, they bring you to the bedrooms. I don't know here, but in the Philippines, that's how they show their complete trust in somebody who is not a Muslim. But most often, we just visit up to the living room and to the dining room, not in the bedroom. But with the books, when they have the books, it can go into the bedroom, and they, during the times when they want to relax, or sometimes they cannot sleep and they will read. That's where God can use this agency. You know, it's not just the commercial printing that appreciates the power of the press. Even the communists, what did they say? In a battle over man's mind, the side who can supply the literature would come out on the top. And we are not just battling for the minds of people, for ideologies, to believe in democracy or communism. But the battle of the mind for the world is for loyalty to God. And if the communists saw this, we have been shown this even before there was a communist. There was a communist. The side who can supply the literature would come out on the top. Why? Because literature has double multiplier effect. What does that mean? One man can give away or sell 10 books or more. And each of those books may influence 10 or more men. So that you multiply yourself. Instead of you just being one, if you are the one conducting Bible study, there will be 100 Bible studies being conducted because you gave away a book.
Amen.
The power of the press, with all its advantages in their hands, they can send them into thousands of families who now sit in the darkness of error. This is God's direction that we should not overlook. The press is a if we participate in it, especially if we involve the members in this activity. The Lord has rich blessings for the church if its members will seek earnestly to arouse from this perilous lukewarmness. When will the rich blessings come? If its members will seek earnestly to get out of this lukewarmness. The church must be a working church if it would be a living church. It should not be content to advance with dilatory step, but it should bear the yoke of Christ, gaining new recruits along the way. You have seen how Americans conduct the war. Wherever they go, they pulverize their enemy before they send in the land forces. They use the airplanes, the bombers, they use the missiles, and everything they have in their arsenal to destroy the communication, the vital installations of the enemy before they send in the land forces. Why? Because they want to save the lives of their army. And you know what? This technique in warfare is God's approach long before. Why? Because of the press. Before we go in for the Bible study, the press has already done its work. The literature, the books has already done the work. That's why it said that 1,000 will soon be baptized in one day, most of whom will trace their first conviction to the reading of our publications. It's just like sending in the fighter planes, the bombers before the Bible studies come in. It means that the press is to prepare. It's to prepare a field before the conversions through the crusades or evangelistic efforts will be achieved. The ministers and people should engage in the circulation of books, pamphlets, and tracts as never before.
Yes.
as never before. Circulation of books, pamphlets, and tracts as never before. How are we to circulate it? Two ways. Sell where people are able and willing to purchase. And where they are not, give them the books. If they cannot buy, give it to them. You know, this is genius. This is a genius in the plan of God. Selling and sharing. It means that there will be nobody who will be left behind or left out. Why sell? Because when we sell the book, the capital we need is being returned to us by the public. So they subsidize, the public will subsidize the spread of the gospel. They are paying, they pay for the books. And when they pay, you have another capital to buy another and continue the process. But there are cases where they cannot buy. So let's give it to them through, you can ask sponsors to buy the books and ask the members to distribute. Let every Seventh-day Adventist ask himself, what should be the question of its Seventh-day Adventist? What can I do to proclaim the third angel's message? What can I do to proclaim the third angel's message? Of course, there is that Jesus method. He mingled with the people. That is the main approach. Mingle. That's why television is good, radio is good, but still the members should visit. And when we visit, it's the best thing that we are bringing them books in support to what the television and the radio has already accomplished. And after we have given them the books, then comes again the Bible, those who will be conducting Bible studies, and the pastors. You see the beauty of God's approach? It's not very easy to convert people, even in the Philippines. When you ask them, do you want Bible studies? Of course nobody wants Bible studies. Even in the Philippines, a Christian country, how much more in Indonesia? But when we approach them through literature, especially what do they want? What is their problem? Marital problems, health problems. That is the entering words. The press is a power. But if its products fall dead for want of men who will execute plans to widely circulate them, what happens? Its power is lost. If the books just stay on the shelf, in our shelf, then it will be no power. But if it is in the shelf of other people, they may not read it right away. But time will come when God will use that to bring conviction to them. So our duty now is to bring as many people to people's homes so that when the time comes, then God still has an avenue to reach the people. You know, I don't know, here you have your Hope Channel here. We also have Hope Channel in the Philippines. But no matter how much we spend on television, with one order from the government that is closed. We have internet, but you know when the Pope went to the Philippines, all along the way he will pass through. There is no telephone signal. There is no, you cannot use your cell phones. Along the route he passed through for security, so that nobody can call each other to bomb or shoot the Pope. Along the way he is passing through. That's how powerful the government is. But if our books are in the hands of the people, even if they close all the telecommunication, the television, the radio, they will even close our schools, our hospitals, and even our own union office, they will close it. And they will also prevent or stop us from gathering in churches. Still, God can use the books that are already in people's hands. So, our work now is, while we still have time, circulate the books. Get it into people's hands. Oh, that thousands more of God's people had a realization of the work to be done, either in the homes of our neighbors to what? To sell or to give away our literature. All of this are from the spirit of prophecy. That's why our belief, fundamental belief, number 18, is very, very accurate. That this is God's way to direct us how we are to go about in our work. Of course, every department is important. God was the one who established every department. But they will be effective up to a point, each one of these departments. And so, to continue with the spirit of prophecy admonition, the book work should be the means of quickly giving the sacred light of present truth to the world. Let every believer scatter broadcast tracts and leaflets and books containing the message for this time. Papers and books are the Lord's means of keeping the message for this time continually before the people. I'd like to underscore that. Continually. You know, when we are listening, there are times when the speaker mentions something that diverts our thoughts to other objects. And for a moment, our mind will flick to that something and we miss the following statements of the speaker. But we cannot go back to that anymore. When we are reading, the same thing happens. When you read something, you're reading and then you think of something, another word, and you did not understand the passage you went through. But if you did not understand, you can always go back. With books, all you need is time. But with internet, with every other thing, you will not be able to go back right away. And I understand Indonesia Publishing House will print 500,000 Story of Hope. 500,000 to be distributed in Indonesia. This will be for our participation next year. I don't know what your schedule is, but it's something like April. In April in next year, we will all join sharing this book. And what is one passage that comes from that book that is a very good assurance to people? From the Story of Hope. What can our brethren participate in literacy? Sharing the good news through literature. It is the book, Story of Hope. This is a synopsis of the Conflict of the Ages series. And even a shortened version of the Story of Redemption. The Story of Redemption is very long, it's something like 63 chapters. But the Story of Hope is very short. It can be easily carried by people so that they can read it during their spare time. What is one passage that is there that can give assurance to people? Jesus began His work by breaking Satan's power over the suffering. He restored the sick to health. He gave sight to the blind and healed the lame, causing them to live for joy and to glorify God. The word, whatever our belief, one thing that easily arrests our attention is when people talk about our own happiness, our own health, our own families. And this is what Jesus would want to bring to people if they can only be introduced to Him. With gracious words, He comforted the weak, the trembling, and the desponding. The feeble, the suffering ones whom Satan held in triumph, Jesus wrenched from His grasp, bringing to them soundness of body and great joy and happiness. This is what the world is longing for. Soundness of body, great joy, and happiness. That is the reason many people have fallen victims to drugs, because they are looking for happiness. But what they have, what they experience, is only fleeting happiness. And it is destroying the body. Not only the body, but even their relationships with people. So that they can kill in cold blood. But God wants to give us the real thing. But how is the world to know what? To know this? It is through sharing. Our members sharing the story of hope to their friends, to their relatives, so that they too will enjoy what we now are enjoying. And this is the ultimate problem of the world. No matter how rich you are, the grave is waiting. Steve Jobs, very rich person, billionaire, but at 55 years old, he died. His money cannot buy the health that he needs. Eternal life is available to us only through Jesus Christ. And that is what the world needs. They need to know that there is solution to all the problems we now face. He raised the dead to life, and they glorified God for the mighty display of His power. He wrought mightily for all who believe on Him. The life of Christ was filled with words and acts of benevolence, sympathy, and love. This is what the world needs to know. God is not a stern, a cruel God. He's not a despotic God. He's a God of love. That's why He sent His Son to become His representative, to show people that God is love. And this is what most people need, to feel that they are accepted, to feel that they are important, to feel that they are loved. He was ever attentive to listen to and relieve the woes of the world of those who came to Him. Time is coming when we all get to heaven. When we will all get to heaven. But before that blessed event comes, just before it happens, two groups of people in this world, there will be two groups of people. One group is this group. Parents were bitterly reproaching their children. They are blaming their children. Children, their parents, brothers, their sisters, and sisters, their brothers. Loud wailing cries were heard in every direction. And what were they saying? Why were they blaming each other? They will be saying, "It was you who kept me from receiving the truth, which would have saved me from this awful hour." And may it be, brethren, that this accusation will not be directed towards any of us because we did not participate in sharing the truth to others when there is still time. There is yet time. On the other hand, another group is described. When you enter within the gates of the city, what a happy time this will be. There will be no more need of visas and passports and airplane tickets. No more immigration to pass through. You see, when we pass through immigration, sometimes we are a little bit nervous because we might not be allowed to enter. Especially if you spend so much going to the United States and you will just be said, "Oh, you have to go back to your country." But here is already, the saints are ushered into the kingdom. And what a sight it will be. It's not only the saved, it's not only the Seventh-day Adventists who are ahead, who are rejoicing there, but there are others. You see. When you enter within the gates into the city, and the crown of life is placed upon your brow, and on the brows of the very ones you have worked to save, they will cast themselves upon your neck and say, imagine the picture, they will embrace you very tight.
Amen.
They will embrace you tightly. Why? Because they are so appreciative, they are so thankful, they are so grateful for what you did. What did you do? They will say, "It was you that saved my soul. I should have perished if you have not saved me from myself. A good while, but you were patient with me and won me to acknowledge the truth."
Amen.
What a picture that will happen when the Lord shall finally come. We not only the reward that God will bring is not only eternal life, but also we will be rewarded with a grateful appreciation of those who were saved because we participated in what Jesus said in Matthew 24:14. What did it say? And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world, and I like to add through total member involvement for a witness of all nations, and then shall the end come. May God bless us.
Amen.